Hello everybody, my name is Joshua Morgan, and in today's video we're going to do a deep dive into one of, if not the most powerful Eurorack modules in this case, and probably available for purchase anywhere, and that is the Qtone Quantizer from DNIpro. If you're new to Eurorack or a seasoned bleeper and blooper, this module definitely has some very unique features that make it stand apart from just about every other quantizer on the market today. But before we get into the Qtone specifically, I want to quickly touch on what a quantizer is and what it does in the context of modular synthesis. In the simplest terms, a quantizer takes a continuous voltage, as you can see in this graph, and it snaps it to a predefined set of pitches or a scale. Now, this is essential for creating melody or harmonic sequences without worrying about being out of key. So I know it might seem like this is a sponsored video, but it's totally not. I just really think the Qtone is an excellent module, very clearly laid out, dual quantizer. You've got inputs for unquantized voltage. You've got trigger inputs for locking to a specific rhythm, and outputs for your quantized voltage, as well as CV inputs for modulating one of the 4 different parameters, endless encoder with push button, selectable scales. There are 12 selectable scales, and 10 banks for you to store. And everything in the module is flash memory, so any change that you made is automatically stored. You don't have to worry about a save button. And the multicolored LED display provides plenty of visual feedback in a dense Eurorack case. You also have 2 CV inputs for modulating one of the 4 different parameters, and that is selectable via the button directly above. And you also have a button directly above the left and right side to select which parameter you are editing at that time. So there are quite a few dual-channel CV quantizers on the market. Some of them even have CV inputs for modulation. So let's get into what sets the Qtone apart from all the other quantizers. The Qtone has 4 parameters to adjust, the first up being the scale mode. Just tap the button to edit the current scale, scroll over to the desired note, and push the encoder to turn on or off the note. Pretty simple, basic setup, couldn't be any easier. And just tap the button again to exit the edit mode. Next up we have portamento, or glide. Here we set the attenuation amount. All the way to the right is a crazy amount of glide, just zipping all over the place. And all the way to the left is no glide whatsoever. Right about here is where I find it to be the most useful. It's enough to stay musical and pretty funky without driving everybody in the room completely crazy. Next up we have offset, and that offsets the control voltage that's going into the Qtone. We have offset in a positive direction and offset in a negative direction. This is probably my favorite feature of the Qtone. In conjunction with the scale mode, when you're modulating the offset and scale via CV here, you can create some very interesting and unique melodies. Next up we have the transpose, which alters the outgoing control voltage by plus 1 octave or minus 1 octave. I find this control to be very useful in a live setting for quickly changing the octave of a particular synth voice, changing one from a lead sound to a bass sound, or vice versa. Just a very powerful feature to have built into your quantizer. So now let's zoom out and we'll have a look at the patch that we've been listening to in the background. Okay, so for this patch, I have an LFO coming from the Moog Spectravox, and that is going into side 1 of the Qtone. The quantized output is going into the volt per octave input of VCO1 from the Moog Subharmonicon. I have another LFO from the After Later Audio Carve, again off-screen. That's going into side 2 of the Qtone, and that output is going into the Spectravox, again off screen, which is going to be providing our bass line. I have sequencer 1's rhythm generator triggering the side 1 of Qtone, and sequencer 2 of the subharmonicon triggering side 2 of the Qtone. Pretty simple little patch. Let's hit play and just kind of see what's happening here. Musical genius. Let's turn up some delay. An instant ambient bliss. I'll fade up the bass line. And that's actually pretty musical for just 2 LFOs that are being quantized. We're getting some decent results already. So let me turn on little drums. And we kind of have a beginning of a track. Pretty groovy little thing here. Now that's great if you just have a pair of LFOs at your disposal, but let's look at a more complex use case scenario. So there is a lot going on in this patch, obviously, and in the interest of time, I'm only going to be covering what the Qtone's role is in the whole situation. Then I'll fade up the various elements, and we can have a listen to exactly how powerful this module truly is. Sequencer 1 from the Moog subharmonicon is going into the Dopifer precision adder, as well as a sequence from the Moog Labyrinth and a copy of the sequence from the Meleco Variegate 4. The other copy of that sequence is going into VCO1 of the Moog subharmonicon. The summed outputs of the Dopifer precision adder are going into both sides of the Qtone, and a random voltage from the DivKid R&D step is going into the offset for both 1 and 2 of the Qtone. Sequencer 2 of the Moog subharmonicon is going to the scale select of the Qtone for both sides. One side of the Qtone is being sent to the make noise spectrophone, and the second side of the Qtone is controlling a voice made up of the oscillators of the second VCO of the subharmonicon through the after-later audio filthy filter. So I'll start things out with a kick drum and bass line before I bring in the Moog Labyrinth and subharmonicon voices. I'll fade in the Qtone. We can listen to everything together. Then I'll fade the Moog Labyrinth and subharmonicon out so we can just focus in on the Qtone and what it's doing. Then I'll have a little bit of a jam and wrap things up. So yeah, super powerful module, very versatile. There's an arpeggiator mode that I didn't even get into. DNIpro has some really cool modules. There's an effects module that a few YouTubers have already covered. This module I haven't seen a ton of videos about, and quantizers aren't really the sexiest or funnest of modules to get, but when I got this one, it was definitely the funnest module I'd had in quite some time. So I just kind of wanted to share some love and let everybody know how cool I think this module is. I hope you guys found this informative, and if you did, please do the like and subscribe thing. You know how YouTube works. I don't need to explain that to anybody. And if you have any questions, please do leave a comment. Until next time, guys, peace.